Alright, so from last time we had this really simple character controller for our 2D game, ASCII game basically. And yeah, it's gonna be like a roguelike, and we can move around. The enemy follows us, but nothing really happens once the enemy reaches us, or we go on top of the enemy. And yeah, I mean, since last time I cleaned up the code a little bit. It's not really a refactor, it was just trying to get all the memory leaks out. And I mean, there weren't that many, but yeah, just adding some error checks, that was my goal. I think I covered pretty much every single case, but I mean, it's C, so you never know if you well, I mean, if you're a good C developer, probably but I'm not a good developer. But what I was thinking for this time is to add some items, maybe have an inventory system. So let's think about it. So obviously a good, like an interesting thing to have would be a door. So maybe we can specify a door using a line like this. Um, so yeah, maybe something like this, or maybe a bracket. But I think a pipe is best. I mean, it's gonna suck. Like, how do we show a door like vertical? But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe a pipe is good in any case, like a minus. I think yeah, a pipe works for me. So what I think is that the door you shouldn't be able to open the door, and even the enemy shouldn't be able to walk through the door. So that's that's gonna be interesting, right? So maybe something else that we can do is think about how can we say that a certain tile type is not is like impassable. You cannot go through it. Maybe it's gonna make it a bit more generic, so we'll have an easier life when we modify the tiles like this. So right now we check that, let's say, for example, in a star, like in the a star function, we check that we cannot go through the thing if it's equal to wall. So if it's wall, then we cannot go through it. But maybe we want to do something like a list or a for loop through multiple things. Maybe we can even have a function here instead of this, like is impassable, and we check if it's yeah, any of these. Right, so let's say we add doors. You cannot walk through doors, and you need the key for the door, and maybe the key is gonna be the minus symbol or something. Like, it looks like it fits, right? So maybe that's how we are gonna do it. So yeah, maybe that's gonna be our first items. A key that we can pick up, and then you can use it to unlock the door. So if you have a key in your inventory, you should be able to make the door disappear, let's say. Or maybe once you are next to the door, we'll have another key, like space, for example, which does an action. But I think I like more the idea of you just make the door disappear if you go on top of it, if you have a key. But that's gonna be interesting to see implemented. I mean, no, obviously that's the case. Let's go. Well, let me just add the key, or should it be an equal sign? I mean, it doesn't really matter. We'll figure it out. So I'm gonna say here that we define door ch, which is a character, and it's gonna be a vertical line. And then we also define the key character, which for now should be a minus. And yeah, maybe the reason why having an enum for tiles and stuff like that is that it forces you. So where do we have the if statements? For example, in the print, I think it was the first function. Yeah. So I mean tile kind print, right? That's the one. So if you have an enum, it forces you to add the cases at compile time, right? So that's what's good about an enum. Although in C, I think it's not an error, I think it's just a warning if you don't fill the switch. Which, I mean, then it's useless. So yeah, it is what it is. We just print unreachable, right? So we know that we did an oopsie doopsie in case we print that. So yeah. Okay. Anyways, so let's think about our world data structure. So I mean, sure, we'll do print afterwards, but yeah, for now let's think about this. So we'll have tiles, right? So tiles, I think the door should be part of tiles. Maybe even the key should be part of tiles. Yeah, like the items. Items could be part of tiles if they don't move. Like if they move, it sucks a bit to use tiles, but yeah, I think that makes sense to keep the items in the tiles. At least the doors, right? Because it's gonna be easier for the checks, like in A star. So yeah, at least the tiles, I would keep them in that. Maybe items could be a separate thing. Items, right? That could be a separate thing. But we'll see. So let's take a look here. So see, like it's this check with the kind and the wall. So how about going for a tile kind is impassable or something like that. Int tile kind is passable, so like you cannot walk over it. Tile kind p. So I'll say maybe if t is equal to wall ch or t is equal to door ch. So if it's one of these, then we return one. So we might as well just return the thing itself. Right, so that's how I would say that tile, you cannot walk on top of the tile. So here, if tile kind is impassable and we pass the kind, so if it's not, if it's equal to 0, I mean, maybe it's easier to check like that. Yeah, let's whatever. So if the tile is not impassable, or this returns 0, then we move the player. So if we go in world.txt, let's remove the enemy for now, so we don't care about it. Right, so we made this. We have to also implement printing. So another thing that I think I'll do is have a color like reset, a yellow, red, like have them separate. So like define a reset is gonna be the first one. So we have a red color is this one with 31. Then 32 is green. Then we have yellow. 34 I think it's blue. I mean I'll just say it. Okay. Okay, 35 I have no idea. Okay, I mean we'll see. So maybe ASCII colors Wikipedia. Let's check the. Okay, so it's red, green, yellow, blue, magenta or something. So it's the purple color. 35, right? Yeah. Then we have cyan. And probably white or something, yeah. So white. Yeah, sure. So now we can just say yellow color, red color. Oh, floor color is black. The wall is gonna be white. Wait, yeah, white. This one is gonna be green. Here. So we have these colors. Let's say door color. When we don't have brown, we can just make it yellow. Or let's try magenta color. And I think I'll make the key the same color so that you can visualize what you are supposed to do. That makes sense. So if the T is door character, then we just print the door color, door character, and that's it. And for the key CH, key CH, okay. Yeah, I mean I think it works. Yeah, maybe it's easier to just say T. Oops. Even I think that might be easier to just do something like this and have just the color, because that's the only thing that changes, right? Yeah, like we print the color and then the T and the reset. I mean, maybe it's gonna be different and then I'll have to do it, but yeah, sure, why not? Let's just keep it like this. Maybe I'm gonna have some weird edge case and I'll need to change it, so yeah. Okay, and the last thing that we need to do is to change parsing. So yeah, here for example, else if the character is a door, I guess we're gonna use door ch as the kind. So yeah, this is the only thing that I'm thinking about is we are gonna have, for example, here we use floor as the tile kind, and we have a different list in our world data structure for items. Maybe that's gonna be the case in the future, but for now I think this should work. So if I did everything right, we should be able to still move around. We see the key, right? We can move on top of it, is no problem, but we cannot go through the door. So yeah, that's good. Let's also do the change for the enemy. So instead of checking here if the tile kind is wall, let's check is impassable, or I guess tile kind is impassable, and we pass in the tile. So now if we go back, add an enemy, we can even add the H enemy or something. Recompile, and the enemy doesn't move because no, it cannot move. It's a door there. And if we remove the door, it starts to follow us. But something that I didn't check yet is, what if we have another enemy? What if we have two enemies? That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, it still works, right? So, okay, so let's put the door back. And, alright, let's try to have an inventory. So, I guess the inventory is gonna be in the world itself, right? Like, that's how it makes sense. Maybe I'll have an inventory, it's gonna be also structure. So inventory, okay, inventory. And for now, just to make, the tests pass, let's just say like that, we are gonna have num keys. All right, I guess even keys. No, like, this is the easiest way to have an inventory, like, right? To have one number for each item type. And the next step, if we have like any kind of item, should be like some sort of hash map, right? Yeah, should be some sort of hash map. Like, it's gonna be interesting to have also like a JSON file with some stats for the items, and then you can add your own items or something like that. Like, it's really easy to mod this type of game, I would say. Right, so let's just say we add an integer for the keys, and yeah, in the future should be a hash map, I think, with a number of items, but for now, yeah, it should work. So let's add the inventory, and this should work. I mean, if we think about it, might as well just have it I was thinking have it like this. But in the future, if we are gonna use hash ds, I thought I had a hash map structure. Pretty strange. Wait, let's check in the s.h. It's hash table, but yeah, it hash. Oh, yeah, I don't know why it's not. Yeah, sure, but it would be a hash table, I would say. But yeah, I still need to work a little bit on the hash table. I left it for a while. Haven't done any progress on it, but yeah. So let's just imagine that we are gonna have a hash table instead of inventory, and yeah, maybe also that JSON file with some descriptions or something for the items. Okay, but yeah, still like sure, items would be easy to add, like potions, swords, stuff like that, but keys, like keys have special interactions, right? So that's not sure how to add stuff like that through a JSON file, so it's gonna be interesting. Anyways, we have the key. So yeah, like see, because we use the item in the tile, we can just check if the tile kind is a key. That's pretty easy. But yeah, if we would have, like, let's say a dynamic array for stuff like items, like we have enemies, that would be, I mean, we would just make a for loop over the items, and yeah, that's one way to do it. Or I guess the other way is to have something similar to the tiles, have a separate array, but it's gonna be like a mask on top of the tiles, right? So that's another way. But there's also the what if there are multiple items on a single tile? That's also something to think about. But yeah, that wouldn't like, you have to just think of a really specific use case, right? Because you know we can think of different types of how to handle the items, but we just need to think, okay, how do we want this particular game to work? Like, we don't care about all the special cases. And I think, yeah, just one item per one tile, and that's how it's gonna work. So that's it. We have the answer. So yeah, and at this point we can just think of, well, do we want a different mask for the items other than the tiles, or do we keep the items in the tiles themselves? And since the game, like, since we can show only one character per tile, I don't really see the point of having a mask, right? Like, sure, if we use sprites and all of that, like PNGs, maybe you want to have like items on top of forests, like that can work. But yeah, since we use characters, I mean, it makes sense. yeah, and the only reason for me using this for the enemies was that you can just cycle easier through a list of enemies than through all the tiles. So yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. So yeah, then tile it is, right, for the items. Tile it is. So when we move a player, right, we should check if the tile underneath the player is an item. So for example, if the tile is ECH, then we might do some, okay, and I guess I mean, I would do the check here. So if that's the case, then world inventory and then dot keys should increase with 1, right? We add a key, and also it's gonna be easier if we do ref here. I think we need to define it as a pointer though, so let's just say null, and here let's do it like that. So here we can dereference it once, right? And here we can dereference it as well. And then we can just tile is equal to floor ch. So if we take the reference because we want to modify it, right? So imagine in Rust doing something like a get mutable. That's how you do it in Rust, right? So before we were just getting the value, but now we get the reference, so that if we change this tile variable, we actually change it inside of the array. So that's the reason why I have this get ref function inside of my ds.h. I think it was pretty cool to have. I mean, maybe, you know, for the Rust people it would make more sense if I called it get mute, but get ref, I mean, it made sense. I mean, I don't remember when I did this. I think it was like really long time ago, but I mean, yeah, when it was like day 20 or something, before I started the compiler project. So that's when I had these things, because yeah, I needed something like this for the compiler. So yeah, that was the reason. So I think this should be enough to make the player pick up keys and make them disappear from yeah, and it's gone. So one thing that we need now is to display the inventory, right? A good question is, where do we want to display it? Like on the side here is gonna be really hard, although we can try to do that, like but yeah, I think it's gonna be way too difficult. So maybe underneath the world is gonna be the way to do it. Because yeah, like sure, we can display it next to the world. That would look really cool, but yeah, I still like I need more time to figure out these types of characters, right? Like moving the cursor on the screen more, like that's what I would need here. So yeah, well, you know, we can try it. We can try to just show the inventory at first as it is, and then try to move it somehow or something like that. So So we have a void inventory print. Right, we have the inventory print, so it should take inventory. I'll just call it V or the V in the name. So yeah. So I guess the first step is to just show inventory like this, then a new line, then maybe have something like, let's show it in markdown or something. I like this idea, even though it's not gonna be markdown. Oh, but what we can also do is add some colors to it. So yeah, like these types of titles are usually magenta color, right? And then we have reset color. And then let's say we add something like I mean, the keys make sense to have them magenta because it's like that's the color of the character, right? So with the keys, let's just say that we add here the print inventory print, and we just say world inventory. And maybe I want another new line. Right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, maybe the markdown maybe the markdown stuff, I don't like it. So yeah, wait, let's test out what other colors do we have. Oh, that's cyan. Okay, I mean, sure. I don't really like it, but blue. I think green is gonna look the best. Right, so we cannot go through the door. We pick up the key, but we still cannot go through the door. We need some more stuff to add. But that should be pretty easy to do also. So before we check if a tile kind is impassable, right, we could also check if tile is door.ch and world inventory.keys is greater than 0. So that's when we can actually go through the door. Oops. So we decrease the number of keys and we make the tile a floor. So then we will be able to go through that door. Now it's going to be an interesting question. Do we want to waste one? So let's just take a look at how this thing will work now. So we pick up the key, we come here and we open the door and we can go through it, and the enemy activates. So my idea is if we come here and we press D and we go through the door, do we want to waste one turn standing still and opening the door, or do we want to just go through it like this? Right, that would be like, imagine it as a kind of a puzzle game. That would make a huge impact on the game, right? Like that would be a really big difference. It's like the butterfly effect, right? Because you waste one turn, or do we actually make the step? That would be an interesting design to think about. So yeah, but yeah, I would say that it was pretty easy to add this stuff. So yeah, like maybe keys should be hard coded like this. Maybe there are gonna be items that we can add via JSON file or something like that. Maybe some tools or something. But yeah, like some items should be like the enemies, right? Because the enemies can be any letter. So maybe we can have any other symbol that we don't use would be custom. So let's add gold, right? That's interesting. So gold color obviously is gonna be blue. Like hopefully someone was what the fuck, but yeah, let's say here that gold character is gonna be gold color, and for the inventory we can have like unsigned int gold. And yeah, oh yeah, why am I not using here key color? Maybe that's, and then gold, we just show the gold. Yeah, so I also want to play a bit around with like bold, honestly, like having some things be bold, maybe italic or something, like it's a lot of stuff that we can play around with. So let's add, I guess the gold is going to be printed, right? Because we print the tile kind, we print the inventory, so printing should work. So now just for the parsing, let's check if we have gold ch. Right, so it looks like most of these are just gonna be kind is equal to the character itself, right? Like the only cases where this is not true is for the player and the enemy, but I think the rest of them are gonna be kind is equal to character. So maybe we can just squash all of these here, right? Like kind is equal to a line column. So this is gonna save us some time when we add a new thing. For example, when we add this dollar symbol, we just make the file kind be that value. Why not? So the only thing we need to change is here. So else if tile is equal to gold character, then the inventory gold increases and we make the tile a floor. Gold. Okay, so we can do, I don't know, something like the boss is guarding some gold or something. Oh, we have 6 gold. That's pretty cool. I guess I forgot to initialize the inventory or something. Right, like in parsing, we initialize the world. So let's say world.inventory is equal to 0. I cannot say that. Wait, what? That's weird. I guess you can only say stuff like this when you initialize. So maybe memset. That's also an option. And we memset this thing with 0 and size of inventory. That's how you kind of do it. So yeah, we cannot go to the door. We maybe play around a bit in the room, and we figure out that, oh, maybe this is the key. And yeah, then we are gonna need some fighting, right? And maybe you are gonna lose the fight or something like that because you don't have a weapon, and you'll have to maybe interact with the trees to get some wood and craft a weapon. But we'll see how we can do, because I'm thinking that if you walk on top of a tree, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't get a wood right away. Maybe you have to press space or something. Maybe you have to interact with it. Right, and then, oh, you got 2 gold that maybe you can use to buy some items. I don't know. So yeah, I think it's pretty good progress. So yeah, we'll see how we can make, like, yeah, maybe pressing space and you harvest wood. But yeah, because just walking on top of them would be like you would destroy everything, but maybe that also works. Because yeah, maybe you don't want to destroy the landscape. Maybe you just want to collect one tree, but at some point you'll be forced to go through multiple ones. Because if you just go like this and you get wood each time you go through a tree, then that would be a bit cheesy. So yeah, I think yeah, I'll have to think about it. Because the door gets activated right away, so for the door we don't have that space, needing to press space to interact with it. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it would be pretty easy to add, right? Needing to press space to do something like would be here. Like we would have another check, else if input is equal to, space or something like that. And then we do something, and if we pressed one of the move buttons, then we do this stuff. Yeah, and now the move player function turned out to be more than just moving. It's more like handle input, right? Like handle input, but yeah, pretty neat. And this is like handle enemies, right? When you do some move, we handle the enemies. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought about it, because here I said if the last key is not 0, so that means that if I press any key, the enemy will still move. So we'll see how we can tackle that. I mean, in some weird... Oh, no. I was thinking, to kill the enemy, you have to press the letter that it represents. No, yeah. That could be like a fun mini game, right? Like, you need to press the key that the enemy shows to be able to fight, like deal more damage or something. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool. So yeah, we'll have to see how we can add more items and more like interacting with the world, so you can craft swords and all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think so far it's pretty good progress. I mean, it looks like a decent CLI game. Why not? But yeah, I mean, would also like to have some more replayability. So that means having random maps. That's huge for replayability. But yeah, I mean, being able to add items really easily, that's also pretty cool. Right, so yeah, I mean, I can see some ideas that can develop out of this CLI game. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what we can do next time. So thank you for watching, and we'll see in the next episode.